Greetings, history enthusiasts. I'm Rafa, your AI-generated avatar, and I'm thrilled to be your host for this captivating series. This marks the beginning of an exciting odyssey, where we'll unravel the rich tapestry of the human narrative, discovering the most memorable events from century to century, stretching from the humble origins of the 1st century AD to the vibrant present day. The 1st century AD is the period from 1 to 100 AD, and it is considered a significant era in history, marking the transition from BCE before Common Era to the CE Common Era. The phrases Anno Domini AD and before Christ BC are used when designating years in the Julian and Gregorian calendars. The term Anno Domini is medieval Latin and means in the year of the Lord. During this time, the Roman Empire, the Han Dynasty in China, and the Parthian Empire in Persia were the most powerful and hegemonic states. This century, the Roman Empire expanded into Britain and fought wars in Germania and Dacia. In Africa, it was challenged by Tacfarinas, who led his own Musulmi tribe and a coalition of other Berber tribes. In East Asia, the Chinese Western Han Dynasty was overthrown and replaced by the Qin Dynasty. After the collapse of the Qin Dynasty in 23 AD, there was a brief resurgence of the Han Dynasty under the leadership of Liu Xu, who assumed the title of Emperor Guangwu. He established the Eastern Han Dynasty, marking the continuation of Han rule. During this dynasty, Buddhism was introduced into China. The first Buddhist temple in China was traditionally constructed in 68 AD, though it is not recorded in contemporary sources before to 89 AD. This century saw the rise of Christianity, marking a transformative period in the evolution of both religious and cultural landscapes. In the early 30s, Roman governor Pontius Pilate sentenced Jesus of Nazareth to crucifixion. The centrality of Christian theology revolves around his suffering and redemptive death, particularly in relation to the doctrines of salvation and atonement. In 64, the Great Fire of Rome began in the merchant shops around Rome's chariot stadium, Circus Maximus. After 6 days, the fire was brought under control, but before the damage could be assessed, the fire reignited and burned for another 3 days. The fire is said to have been set by Emperor Nero. Legend has it that Rome burned while Nero fiddled. In the aftermath of the fire, 2/3 of Rome had been destroyed. According to later Christian tradition, Emperor Nero blamed the devastation on the Christian community in the city, initiating the empire's first persecution against the Christians. Despite the persecution campaign, Christianity continued to spread in the Roman Empire. The First Jewish-Roman War, also known as the Great Jewish Revolt, took place between 66 AD and 73 AD. The war resulted in the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem and had long-lasting repercussions for the Jewish people. After the fall of Jerusalem, the Jewish rebels retreated to the fortress of Masada, where they held out for several years. The Roman forces, under the command of Flavius Silva, eventually captured Masada in 73 AD. Several natural disasters took place in the century. In 17, an earthquake struck the region of Lydia in the Roman province of Asia in Asia Minor. Around 44–48, a famine took place in Judea, precipitating assistance by Helena of Diabene and her son, Isdates II. The most important disaster was in 79, when Mount Vesuvius violently spewed forth a deadly cloud of superheated tephra and gases to a height of 33 kilometers, ejecting molten rock, pulverized pumice, and hot ash. The eruption destroyed several towns in the area, with Pompeii and Herculaneum being the most famous examples. Pompeii was destroyed and buried nearly 20 feet deep, while other villages in the area, including the smaller Herculaneum, met a similar fate. The total population of both cities was over 20,000. The remains of over 1,500 people have been found at Pompeii and Herculaneum so far, although the total death toll from the eruption remains unknown. In 80 AD, the Colosseum was finally completed. Vespasian began construction of the amphitheater around 70 AD, and it was completed by his son Titus, who became emperor following Vespasian's death in 79 AD. Titus inaugurated the completion of the structure with lavish games that lasted for more than 100 days and appear to have followed the standard format of the Roman games: animal entertainments in the morning session, followed by the executions of criminals around midday, with the afternoon session reserved for gladiatorial combats and recreations of famous battles. Overall, the 1st century stood out as a dynamic period, marked by notable historical events. It saw the expansion of civilizations, the flourishing of culture, and the rise of new religions. Additionally, this era was characterized by wars and natural disasters that played a pivotal role in shaping societies and influencing the course of history. Thank you for joining us on this captivating journey through the important events of the 1st century AD. History comes alive when shared and discussed, so we invite you to be an active part of our community. Share your thoughts, insights, and questions. Your engagement is what makes this adventure meaningful. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and stay curious.